where Will County comes to talk. The Kevin Kollins Show on 1340 WJOL.
This is what you need. 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 Give me what you need.
5:10. It's the Kevin Kollins Show. What you need to know, we give you a little fill-in from the big news, the fun news, the interesting news of the day. We try to get you up to date on the way home. Evan, what do we need to know?
The city of Joliet's legal costs on the Evergreen Terrace case since 2005 total $6 million. This was from the Herald News this morning. The total costs to date were provided by the city's finance department as the Joliet City Council prepares in the coming weeks to decide whether to pursue the acquisition of the low-income apartment complex. Joliet does run the risk of Evergreen Terrace's owners seeking compensation for its legal costs, which are at least $6.4 million if it drops the condemnation effort after the legal battle that has gone on since 2005. However, Joliet Mayor Bob Odenkirk said he did not believe Evergreen Terrace's owners would pursue the city for their legal tab. Evergreen Terrace's owners are being sued for unpaid legal bills by the firm that represented them in the case before pulling out in early 2014. Ungaretti and Harris filed a lawsuit a year ago seeking $6.4 million from Ronald Gidwitz, a one-time Republican candidate for governor, and his family, the primary owners of Evergreen Terrace. A trial determining the price of Evergreen Terrace took place in March, but it lasted only a week before a jury ruled Joliet should pay $15 million for the property. The city's legal costs so far this year are $308,000. The Joliet City Council plans to hold a special meeting in early July to hear a presentation from consultants on the future costs of managing and redeveloping the property before making a decision on whether or not to acquire it.
Wow. It sounds like Joliet, in recent news, is spending a whole lot of money to get a whole lot of nothing. Now, some of this isn't their expenditures, but what I'm talking about is the Rialto. They're looking at, the Rialto is looking at spending all that money for the marquee, which if the people that are on the board there vote to not move forward, they'll have spent, I don't know, whatever the number is, $300,000 on a marquee that they're not even going to have. Then there's the Ileana, which if that goes through, all the money that was spent throughout the area to do all the research and the studies on that with nothing. And now Evergreen, $6 million reportedly in legal bills, plus we would be on the hook if they came after us, which I don't know why they wouldn't. Why wouldn't the owners come after, unless there was an arrangement that could be made? But another, so $12 million and walk away to spending that without Evergreen Terrace. A lot of expenditures for a whole lot of nothing, and I just hope, the right fiscal decisions are made on all of these items and, fiscally what's going to be right for the city and right for the area in the long run with the money that's spent.
Illinois is at a crossroads. Mike Madigan and the politicians he controls refuse to change. They're saying no to spending discipline, no to job-creating economic reforms, no to term limits. All they want is higher taxes. Again.
Change in Springfield isn't easy, but you didn't send me here to do what's easy. With your help, I'm going to keep fighting to grow our economy and fix our broken state government.
Republican Governor Bruce Rauner launched an unprecedented TV ad campaign yesterday attacking powerful Democratic House Speaker Michael Madigan as state government teeters towards a shutdown next month. The ad accuses Madigan of blocking the pro-business, anti-union changes the governor is seeking, saying all the speaker wants to do is raise taxes. At the Capitol, Madigan stuck to his weeks-long theme by calling both the ad and the agenda extreme. Rauner's marketing tactic signals a new era in Illinois politics, with the wealthy governor taking his message directly to the voters to try to gain leverage against his opponents in a continual campaign that goes far beyond the traditional election contests. It's also in keeping with what Republicans privately say is Rauner's long-term strategy of demonizing Madigan in an effort to eventually reduce his power and influence. But it's questionable how much impact the ads will have in motivating Madigan, Senate President John Cullerton, and other Democrats who control the General Assembly to negotiate with a Republican governor who, for months last year, labeled many of them as part of a corrupt government system in Springfield. If no budget is in place by July 1st, the state lacks the legal authority to spend money on programs. After that, two pressure points loom: July 15th, when the first paycheck checks to state employees are due, and August 10th when the state aid payments to local school districts are due. Missing the school payments could lead to closings and delays that would affect many taxpayers in the state. Battles between governors of both parties and the veteran Madigan are nothing new, but after serving as Speaker for 30 of the past 32 years, Madigan is perhaps facing his most serious public attack, one coming from a deep-pocketed governor with wealthy allies who have put tens of millions of dollars behind him. That coming from Rick Pearson and Kim Geiger from the Chicago Tribune.
This is going to have no effect on Mike Madigan. Mike, you can run all the ads you want. Mike Madigan does not care what ads you run about him. You know, it's a little bit with Donald Trump now in the running for president. And Donald Trump has taken a playbook from Governor Rauner. Trump said he's not taking any lobbying money. He's not asking for any campaign donations. He's going to spend his own money. Now, Rauner did take campaign donations, but he spent large amounts of his own money to do that. And this is his own money on these ads now that are out there. Evan, those ads, are those just on the internet and the web? Or those are actually spots that are running on television as well?
They are currently running on television, Kevin.
Okay. Yeah, listen, he wants to spend his own money on that. It's fine. It's just it's not going to change the way that Mike Madigan does business, right or wrong. It's not going to change how he does it. He's going to continue to push forward.
Donald Trump sat down with George Stephanopoulos today after announcing he's joining the GOP field for the President of the United States.
Back in 1999, when you were thinking of running as the Reform Party candidate, you told Larry King that you'd consider Oprah for vice president.
I like Oprah. What can I tell you? She's
still on your short list?
Yeah, she's great. She's talented. She's a friend of mine. She's a good person. I've been on her show. In fact, I was on her show last week. She said, could I be on her show with the whole family? I like Oprah. I mean, is that supposed to be a bad thing? I don't think so.
So when you think about
Oprah.
who the kind of people you're going to run
I think
with?
Oprah would be great. I'd love to have Oprah. I think would win easily, actually.
Trump, who announced his presidential candidacy in a speech at the Trump Tower yesterday in Manhattan, responded, Trump-Oprah would be a winning ticket in 2016.
The thing that has shocked me a little about this is, Trump running for president, in a lot of ways, I looked at as a joke. I mean, come on. The guy has, it was a joke. But I'm finding a lot of people, and again, not the majority, but there are a lot of people that think he's a fantastic candidate. I can't figure out what any of his credentials are. Now, I guess you could say the same thing about Bruce Rauner, about Governor Rauner. Very, very similar. I don't know. It's a shocking thing to me that there are people out there that are hitching right onto Trump and saying, yeah, he's going to be the guy to go all the way. So it'll be interesting seeing. Now, Evan, speaking of this, he is our 11th candidate that's in from the Republican Party. We still 13? Oh, 12. We still have probably at least one or two more that are going to come into this fray.
How did you get 13? I held up one finger on one hand and two on the other.
1 and 2 is 3.
No,
13.
that's a 1.
And a 2.
And
1 plus 2 is a 3.
No.
That's 13.
No.
1 plus 2 is 3. That's 13.
A 12.
Oh, right,
I don't see
12.
how no one else would get 13 out of that.
You need to do it like they do in Deadliest Catch.
Never watched it.
1, that's 12.
I've never watched it. And never would.
So here's the thing we had talked about. There's 12. 1 or 2 still probably and possibly coming.
Chris Christie.
How are they going to fit this?
Bobby Jindal. And let's remember, Scott Walker hasn't officially announced.
So how are they going to fit 15 candidates on stage for a debate? They're going to have 2 rows, right?
They're not.
How will they do this?
From what I have heard, it will be the top 10 candidates in the most recent poll. I don't know what poll it is. I don't know if it's a Pew poll or Rasmussen poll. I would imagine it's probably an internal Republican Party poll, a poll within their organization among registered Republican voters, and they will use that poll to determine who the top 10 candidates are, and those are the 10 that will get on the stage. So if, say, you're Lindsey Graham, who last I looked was like in 11th or 12th, you're not going to be on the stage for the debate. And honestly, if you're not on the stage your first debate, your campaign is probably over.
Well, you know what that means? Huge spend up until the debate.
Before a debate. Think about that. And not
the
just
3 weeks leading up to it.
And not just in primary states.
No.
You're talking we could see ads
Polling everywhere.
in Super Tuesday states beforehand, because I imagine it's not going to be just an Iowa poll for the Iowa caucus or the New Hampshire primary. This is going to be a nationwide poll among all registered Republican voters to determine who these 10 candidates on the stage are. And like you said, Super Tuesday states are going to get cash. We could see campaign ads in Illinois long before the Illinois primary even takes place.
You know, we were talking about here in Illinois how we just, we don't get nearly the ads that an Iowa does or any of that stuff and everything. And I shared with you my friend who's a news director in Iowa. And in the last 2 weeks, the 2 photos that he has had at little fundraisers, at little rallies, one was with former First Lady Hillary Clinton at a little house party he was at with a picture with her in Sioux City, Iowa. And the other one was with Donald Trump, just in the last 2 weeks in little bitty Sioux City, Iowa.
As the steamy hurricane season descends on Miami, the city's Roman Catholic Archbishop, Thomas G. Wenske, is planning a summer of sermons and homilies, as well as press events, designed to highlight the threat that a warming planet, rising sea levels, and extreme storms pose to his community's poorest and most vulnerable. His sermons and speeches are meant to amplify the message of Pope Francis's highly anticipated, highly controversial encyclical on the environment, which the Vatican will unveil tomorrow, although portions have leaked. A papal encyclical or teaching document is among the strongest and most authoritative statements that can be made by the Catholic Church. In a draft of the document linked on Monday, Francis reiterated the established science that burning fossil fuels are warming the planet, said the impact threatened the world's poor, and called for governments' policies to shut down or to cut fossil fuel use. They're hoping that this will resonate with 2 members of his flock, the Archbishop Wenske said to the New York Times. He said he's hoping Florida's junior Senator Marco Rubio and former Governor Jeb Bush, both Catholics and both Republican presidential candidates, listen. Like many Republicans, Mr. Bush and Mr. Rubio have questioned or flat out denied the established science of human-caused climate change and have harshly criticized policies designed to tax or regulate the burning of fossil fuels. Both of their campaigns have courted influential and deep-pocketed donors such as the billionaire brothers Charles and David Koch, who vehemently opposed such climate policies. Catholics may run the risk for a Republican presidential nomination besides Mr. Bush and Mr. Rubio and Rick Santorum, a former senator from Pennsylvania who's also declared his candidacy. The field could include Governor Bobby Jindal of Louisiana, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey. Florida is not the only crucial presidential state where Catholic bishops will push the poorest climate message. In Iowa, the bishops of Des Moines and Davenport are planning a news media event at a wind turbine manufacturing facility where they will highlight findings that climate change drives the drought and floods that plague Iowa farmers. A poll this month by the Pew Research Center, however, found the views of American Catholics on global warming are broadly reflective of the American public's opinion, and that 86% of Catholics in this country say they view the Pope favorably. The poll found that 71% of Catholics in the United States believe the planet is getting warmer, but that there is a sharp division among partisan lines.
All right, Evan, let me ask you this. Should the President of the United States be able to have an opinion on global warming?
Yes.
Prime Minister of Canada?
Yes.
President of France?
Yes.
The Pope?
Yes.
Well, a lot of people today are said, what? He needs to keep his views on this himself. This isn't a religious matter.
He says it is because he says it's affecting members of his flock.
But
therefore, it's a religious matter.
Absolutely, I agree. But also, isn't he the leader of a nation?
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's the leader of a nation. I mean, granted, it's probably the smallest nation in the world, but he's the leader of a nation. And they have been criticizing him. The far right conservatives have been criticizing the Pope left and right to stay out of politics. And well, no, that's what the Pope does, and especially this Pope. And that Pope's going to back off. So a big statement there on global warming. That officially is coming. Is that tomorrow? That officially that statement's going to come out.
It's coming tomorrow, though. It's already leaked to several journalists, and quotes are coming out that have said some very interesting things. And one of them, he says, science and religion can enter into an intense and proactive dialogue with each other. He also talks about how there is no debate. It is scientific consensus that this is happening. And he also said, never have we mistreated and offended our common home as much as we have in the last 2 centuries.
Wow, global warming. The Pope has spoken. It's 1340 WJOL, the Kevin Kollins Show.